I'm Lumi. Just an American political enthusiast who pays attention to how systems actually work. When I saw Trump threatening a 100% tariff on Canada, my first reaction wasn't anger or excitement. It was discomfort. Because economically, this idea makes almost no sense. Many Americans hear tariffs on Canada and instinctively think, we're punishing them. We're being strong. We're winning. But if you understand how deeply integrated the U.S. and Canada are, you realize something brutal. This isn't punching outward. This is shooting inward. The U.S. Canada relationship isn't buyer and seller. It's organ and bloodstream. Canada isn't an external supplier. It's embedded inside America's industrial body. Take cars. A vehicle assembled in the U.S. might cross the border 5 or 7 times before it's finished. Engine parts from Canada. Transmission work in Michigan. Back to Canada for assembly. Then back to the U.S. for sale. If you place a 100% tariff on any part of that loop, the system doesn't get more expensive. It collapses. People think tariffs raise prices. In integrated supply chains, tariffs cut arteries. Let me say this clearly. If Trump actually imposed a 100% tariff on Canada, the first companies to bleed wouldn't be Canadian. They would be American manufacturers that depend on Canadian power. Aluminum, parts, lumber, and energy. That's why I say this isn't a trade war. It's a self-inflicted wound. I keep emphasizing this. Many Americans see Canada as a neighbor or trade partner. But in reality, it functions more like a kidney in America's industrial body, out of sight but absolutely critical. You can ignore it for a day or two. But over time, your system starts failing. Here are some concrete examples. Car parts. A lot of U.S. auto components come from Canada. A sudden 100% tariff would double costs and halt production lines. Energy supply. Canada provides a large share of U.S. electricity, oil, and natural gas through pipelines. Doubling tariffs instantly raises energy prices for households and gasoline at the pump. Raw materials. Aluminum, lumber, steel. Key industrial inputs depend heavily on Canadian imports. Cut them off, and manufacturing chains break. Agriculture and food. Canadian dairy, grains, and meat are crucial supplements to U.S. food processing. Tariffs get passed directly to American consumers. Many Americans think the U.S. is huge. Canada is small. We can strong-arm them. But economic structure tells a different story. Canada is an invisible core organ inside the U.S. system. So when Trump talks about a 100% tariff on Canada, the image in my mind isn't a negotiating table. It's the industrial system's arteries being cut. This is self-harm, a literal amputation, and the patient is America itself. Let me be clear. If you think a tariff is just making Canada pay, you completely missed the point. A 100% tariff isn't a game, it's a nuke. It hits not just Canadian companies, but every node in America's supply chain that depends on Canada. Some examples to feel the direct shock. Cars. About 30% of parts in a typical U.S. assembled vehicle come from Canada. A 100% tariff could raise total production costs by 15% to 20%. Many manufacturers might halt production entirely, as the supply chain can't be replaced overnight. Energy. Canada provides crucial electricity, natural gas, and oil. Doubling pipeline energy costs instantly raises household electricity and gas bills by 30% to 50%. And industrial energy costs could double. Food, dairy, Meat. Grains, much of it depends on Canadian imports. Tariffs directly spike supermarket prices, increasing monthly living costs for Americans by hundreds of dollars. Industrial inputs. Aluminum. Steel. Lumber. Fertilizer, if replacements aren't found quickly. U.S. Manufacturing slows. And the ripple effect can last months or even a year. More importantly, this isn't gradual price adjustment. It's an instant rupture. Companies don't have time to adapt. And consumers already pay the cost. Politically, it looks tough. Economically, it's self-destruction. I ran a simple calculation. A $30,000 family car sees production costs rise by around $5,000 due to tariffs. Final consumers might end up paying nearly $40,000. And that's just one sector. Multiply across industry, energy, and food. And the U.S. economy is forced into inflation. Bottom line. Trump wants to play the tough on Canada card. Reality check. America is the first casualty. When it comes to Trump, there's a pattern. Many so-called policy threats are actually political emotion, not economic logic. A 100% tariff on Canada is a textbook example. As Lumi, my biggest takeaway isn't the numbers, it's the lack of logic. He uses tough on the outside to rally domestic support. He uses us versus them to make supporters feel strong. He uses extreme moves to grab headlines. Unfortunately, the economy doesn't respond to emotions. Supply chains don't check the president's mood. When you try to enforce a political performance on an economic system, the result is simple. Reality hits, and it hurts. Example. Trump claims a 100% tariff protects American workers. Sounds flashy. Right. In reality, U.S. manufacturers rely on Canadian parts, energy, and raw materials. Protecting them could halt production, raise prices, and even force layoffs. Supporters see tough on Canada headlines and cheer. Meanwhile, economic damage quietly accumulates. Here's a harsher truth. Political timelines are faster than economic adjustment. Tariffs can be announced overnight. But businesses and consumers need months, or even a year, to adapt. This lag makes the U.S. the first victim of its own policy. So I often remind myself, and everyone I talk to, Trump's so-called toughness isn't an economic strategy. It's a political show. And reality will painfully remind you that you can't play with your own lifeblood for entertainment. Here's a critical point. Trump's 100% tariff doesn't just hurt America, it gives Canada an option to retaliate. And the U.S. has almost no buffer. As Lumi. Looking at data and case studies, the most obvious areas are Canada's exports to the U.S. Cars. Canada exports both vehicles and critical auto parts. U.S. supply chains heavily rely on these. If tariffs hit, Canada could retaliate, immediately disrupting American production. Energy. Canadian exports of natural gas, oil, aluminum, and electricity make up a significant share of U.S. consumption. If Canada reduces exports or hikes prices, energy costs for U.S. companies and households skyrocket. Agriculture and food. Canadian dairy, grains, and meat are important for U.S. markets. Any countermeasure leaves supermarket shelves empty and prices soaring. The bigger problem. The U.S. has no quick substitutes. China, Mexico, South America, they can't fill Canada's supply gap in weeks or months. This means that once this policy is triggered, it's not a trade war. It's an immediate chain collapse. I have to admit, this rarely gets media attention. People see Trump as tough again and ignore the reality. If Canada responds rationally, the U.S. has no exit. Economic costs can't be outsourced. And ordinary Americans pay first. In other words, this isn't pressuring an adversary, it's playing a zero-sum game with yourself. And your opponent holds the escape button while you don't. Bottom line. Trump's toughness, when met with Canadian countermeasures, hits America first. From a global perspective, this 100% tariff threat is more than a signal to Canada. It tells the world America may govern its economy and diplomacy based on political emotion, not rational rules. As Lumi, observing international relations, I see several obvious chain reactions. Erosion of allies' trust. Canada is a core member of NATO and the North American economic system. If the U.S. strikes a key ally this hard, Europe and Asia will question the reliability of U.S. commitments. Long-term cooperation and supply chain collaborations are affected. Market uncertainty. Global financial markets are highly sensitive to U.S. policy volatility. Once a 100% tariff is announced, stock markets, the dollar, and commodity prices fluctuate sharply. Markets react to political emotion, not economic logic. Loss of geopolitical leverage. The U.S. prides itself on shaping global order. Threatening key trade partners in an extreme emotional way weakens both moral authority and institutional leverage. Other countries may seek alternatives, reducing dependence on the U.S. supply chain. Global supply chain risk transfer. Countries seeing the U.S. hit allies hard will restructure supply chains. Short-term domestic gains might appear, but long-term market trust erodes, potentially costing more. In short, this isn't just a U.S. Canada issue, it's America broadcasting its instability to the world. As Lumi, the harsh reality is clear. Emotional policy may grab headlines, but it weakens America's global authority and institutional credibility over time. In such a scenario, the U.S. not only collapses first internally but may also be repositioned in the global power structure. Bottom line. Trump's tough card shakes America most on the international stage. By now, you probably see it. Trump's so-called tough card is political theater. But theater isn't free. The first to pay are ordinary Americans. As Lumi, I ran through some typical scenarios. Inflation shock. A 100% tariff hits cars, food, and energy. Household expenses jump hundreds or even thousands of dollars per month. No government subsidy can fully absorb that. Employment impact. Many manufacturing plants rely on Canadian parts and raw materials. Supply chain disruption means halted production, layoffs, and reduced output. Cost of living pressure. Dairy, grains, lumber, fertilizer, all may double in price. Small businesses either raise prices or shut down. Psychological cost. Ordinary Americans bear uncertainty over months or a year. Price volatility and unstable employment create anxiety. Many people only see the president taking a tough stance and feel like the U.S. is winning. But the economic system tells a different story. Invisible short-term losses eventually hit every household. In other words, this isn't a trade war, it's a self-harming political show, with the least politically powerful paying the price. Bottom line. Trump's 100% tariff doesn't make Canada fall first. Americans fall first, and the cost isn't just numbers. It's a full blow to lives, jobs, and peace of mind. Here, in the final paragraph, I want to summarize. Trump's threat to impose a 100% tariff on Canada is not just an economic issue, it's a problem of governance and rationality. A truly strong nation never uses short-term political theater to harm its own industry, supply chains, and citizens. As Lumi, this is the reality I see. Institutional rationality comes first. Economic and supply chain stability matters more than tough statements. Short-term political glitz cannot replace long-term security. The risk of political theater, governing through emotion, may grab headlines, but it inevitably triggers chain collapse over time. Ordinary citizens pay first. Policies that seem tough on outsiders hit households, factories, and small businesses first. Irreversible damage to international reputation. Allies' trust erodes. Markets wobble. Global supply chains restructure. And the U.S. pays the price for impulsiveness. In short, if Trump actually cuts off Canada, the U.S. breaks first, not just GDP, employment, and prices, but institutional trust and global standing. As a regular political observer, I can only remind people, in the game of power, the true winner isn't the loudest, but the one who safeguards their own lifeblood. One line ending. If America self-harms, it's the first to fall.